Hi, I'm Barb Taranchik.
My name is Jane Jameson.
My name is Karen Stuckey.
I'm Susan Monkmeyer Asher.
My name's Lois Sunflower.
I'm Heather Rodale, and I was one of the first women at Lehigh as an undergrad.
Well, there's something about me that always likes to be first. I'm a very competitive person, and when I found out that Lehigh was looking for its first class of women, I thought it would be an opportune time to go there and to experience something very, very different than a lot of my peers were doing.
And as a little girl, I played actually in Taylor Gym with my two brothers. And one day a man chased me out because he said, "No, you can't go in there. There's no girls allowed." So I think it was one of those challenges that I had even when I was little that said, wait a minute, no, I think I can get there. And that was one of the reasons that I did apply.
My decision to apply to Lehigh was pretty much about my dad. He had graduated in 1938 and he had really fond memories. He loved the university. He was here in a really tough time. It was Depression, but he had great memories. He loved his experience, and he really, really encouraged me to apply.
My first day at Lehigh, I was excited and happy to be going away to college. I don't think I really focused that much on the fact that it was the first class of women. I recall the first night sitting outside our dorm, Carruthers, with my roommate and another friend, and the guys were coming down over the hill like they were storming the beach at Normandy. It was just droves of them. The upperclassmen had been on campus for a few days already, moved in, the fraternity guys. And they heard that the women were there in the dorms, and we sat outside, and it was just like an onslaught. It was definitely weird. And it continued to be weird for much of the first year at least.
Even know of any of those things, sometimes it's just a complete blur to me what that first day was, because it was so overwhelming to enter what was essentially a fishbowl, where you would walk around and, for hundreds of yards you could go without seeing another female. That didn't really bother me, but it made me very aware that I really was going to be experiencing something very, very unique.
It was an opportunity to kind of prove myself as a student at a university which had been for men only before. It was also a lot of fun, because the university was enthusiastic about having us come.
We were an experiment until our junior year, and definitely felt that. I mean, for our freshman rally, we were told to wear coats and ties. Many of the old alumni met us at the rally and told us that they voted against us. Some said, "But we're glad you're here anyway." Others did not.
They didn't have enough bathrooms. No, they were not necessarily prepared, but
You'd have to go from the top floor of Packard Lab to the bottom floor to find a ladies' room. And you would find the other women within the building who kind of knew where you were searching for, and would be very helpful to say, "It's over here," because you didn't know where it was.
Definitely you couldn't find women's restrooms.
I knew where every woman's bathroom was on campus because there were only about 4.
In terms of preparation, the university did a couple of really great things. We had brand new dorms. We were in, I guess, what's called Lower Sense now. We had a brand new dining facility. So that part of it was really great. The less great part was, and something I hadn't thought about when I made a decision to be in the first class of women, is There were no clubs, there were no intramurals, there were no sororities. Well, if you think about it, why would there have been? There hadn't been any women here.
Some men were very happy that we were there. They were kind, they opened doors. Some would slam the door in our faces. They didn't think that we belonged here at Lehigh. Most of the professors were encouraging, but some were cynical and tested us for a few months about our place, you know, had we really earned the right to be at this university.
When I first got to campus, obviously it was mostly men, and one of the first things that happened, and it happened pretty frequently, is that people would say to me, "Where do you go to school?" And I actually was pretty offended by that, because I said, "Well, where do you think I go to school? I go to Lehigh."
We were definitely aware of the fact that women were new to the campus and that the men that were already on the campus weren't accustomed to us being on campus. You definitely had to be the kind of woman who loved to make friends with guys, because there wasn't a lot of women and we were scattered in dorms across the campus.
I don't think the professors really treated us that differently, but I have to say there was a novelty effect. A lot of these professors had not had women in their classes, and they were kind of watching us, and clearly, you know, if you were the only woman sitting in a room of 30 men, you clearly got a little bit more attention.
In my freshman English class, I was the only woman and surrounded by the guys. Sat in the first row just because. And our instructor asked a question that was highly inappropriate, had some language in it that was not exactly acceptable in a classroom. And I was stunned by the question, which was directed to me, but the guys around me answered for me, and it was very easy for them to be criticized or their grades changed by this instructor. But still they felt that it was inappropriate and I should not respond, and they all stood up for me. And that was a very important day because we became not just men and women at Lehigh, but we became a class of people together.
I do feel that the professors held us to a higher standard in some situations. Sometimes we would be asked a question to be singled out as opposed to just being another student in the class. And then of course there were professors who accepted that we were part of this and were probably excited about it. So that was a little more normalizing.
Academically, those 2 years that I spent as an undergrad at Lehigh were very demanding and very challenging. However, I think it created a wonderful foundation for education that really lasted me the rest of my life. I'm still networking with people who were in my class.
I am an entrepreneur, and the risk-taking is something that I learned here at the university. Not only in athletics, but in being encouraged by the leadership here to take different courses, to be involved in as much extracurricularly as I could, and to really be one of the people who was the face of women at Lehigh in the first couple of years.
So I think bringing it back to Lehigh is, you know, in your training, it's sort of, you learn how to teach yourself things, you have the confidence to jump in and do something you don't know how to do, and you have, you know, at least the hope that you're going to figure it out and not, you know, figure it out enough to be successful at it and get better at it before you fail at it.
And I think that's one of the things that we all got from it, that we were students and we were, for the most part, treated just like the men and expected to do the things that they did, not getting any special favoritism, probably trying harder than the guys, but learning how to do the things that our faculty wanted us to do and do them better than the guys.
I mean, my 4 years at Lehigh were wonderful. I think everybody should have a transformative experience like that. And I think they've really, hit home. I loved it. I think it was, it changed me as a person. I was a little bit soft-spoken and not at all aggressive before I came to Lehigh. Being in that position of being in the first women and kind of having to fight for much of what you had, or at least being under the spotlight when you hadn't expected it, certainly paved the way for my professional career. But I think that more so the friendships and experiences I had at Lehigh really have stayed with me forever.
I feel very blessed and fortunate that I did go to school with all these men, because it never made a hill of beans a difference to me in the real world. I never thought, oh, I'm only a woman, or I always just thought I'm me, and that's the way I was raised in this school, to be myself and do my best.
So I hope that the women who are at Lehigh and are studying today will at least hear the message that, yeah, there's others that came before you, but you have a responsibility to continue and show that we are the strong women and we're the strong Lehigh. And I think that that's the important part, that we are Lehigh and we can do anything, because that's what we learned here.